So, just a few days after we talked about Oklahoma getting a big win on the defensive side of the ball on the recruiting trail, today we sit down and talk about the Oklahoma Sooners double dipping, getting two big wins on this Wednesday. Something we have got to break down. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited with the way that the Oklahoma Sooners are recruiting right now? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it, and if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And we're going to start with Malik Hawkins, brother of Michael Hawkins, current quarterback for the Oklahoma Sooners, who, by all accounts, has been hyper impressive during these spring practices. Malik Hawkins stands 6'2", 175 pounds per 24/7 Sports, and if we look, he plays his high school football in the state of Texas. Now, when you turn on the film with Malik Hawkins, there's a few things that are going to stand out to you. First and foremost is the physicality. This is someone who does not shy away from whether it be the run or an open field tackle. He is more than willing to go and make that play. The other thing that it really shows up in is his physicality at the line of scrimmage in terms of getting his hands on a wide receiver, pressing them off the line, and ensuring he's going to get them off their spot, not only through the early release, but through the very early portions of the route. That's something you love to see, especially out of a young defensive back, a defensive back who's not even in their senior year of high school. It goes to show that he is coming from a football family because you see his football IQ several times whenever you're watching him play. It makes complete sense that he is from a family that has been able to coach him up and that he understands the game of football and he understands what his job is. I'm excited to see what he's able to do once he gets on a college campus, especially working with other talented defensive backs, because I think this is going to be a player that's going to pleasantly surprise a lot of people, and I can't wait to see it. But this wasn't the only big win that Oklahoma got. We go from Texas to the state of Maryland, where they got a top 150 player in all of high school football, four-star defensive lineman Trent Wilson, who stands 6'3", 270 pounds. And if we look specifically, he comes in as the number 144 player in the nation per the 24/7 Sports Composite, a top 20 defensive lineman, and a top 5 player in the state of Maryland. And not long ago, we sat down on the SEC Connect and unpacked how talented that region is. It doesn't get as much press as some of your other regions across the nation, but make no mistake about it. The Washington, D.C., Maryland area is rich with talent, and Trent Wilson is certainly one of them. Now, what do Oklahoma fans need to be excited about when it comes to Trent Wilson? Well, there's no shortage of things. First and foremost, the explosiveness. It is really apparent that he is a hyper-athletic defensive lineman because so many times he's beating offensive linemen off of his first step. Then, if that doesn't work, he's got the technique already to be able to fight the hands, free himself from the block, and go make a play. And that gets into the other thing that I really love about his game. It's something we talk about all the time in relation to defensive linemen or offensive linemen. Do you have the want to? Because technique, that can be taught. Strength, we can get you stronger. But do you have the want to? That's either something you have or you don't have. And Trent Wilson has the want to. What I mean when I say want to is the motor to go and run down a play. Not to quit on a play, even if you might not be the guy that's about to make the tackle. Trent Wilson is flying to the ball any opportunity he gets to try and disrupt any momentum the offense may be trying to gain. And to me, that's always a compelling factor. For offensive linemen, for defensive linemen, anybody who's going to be playing in the trenches, do you have the want to? We talk about this ad nauseum over here because I really do find it to be a really important trait. Because whenever you're talking about Todd Bates developing someone, you know you're going to get excellent coaching. But if you have that dog mentality, if you have that want to, well, now sky's the limit. And I'm really excited to see not only what he does during his senior year, but what he does once he gets to a college campus. Because I think both Hawkins and Trent Wilson are players that are going to be able to excel once they get into a college strength and conditioning room. Once they start repping against other college players, I'm really excited for what the future holds for both of them. But I'm also really interested as to how the Oklahoma Sooners are continuing to recruit at such a high level. Just the other day, we talked about the defensive back they got out the state of Arkansas, and in that video, I said, hey, I think Oklahoma's trending towards more big wins. And I certainly think that stands to reason even after these 2 wins. One thing that we know about Brent Venables, one thing that we know about this staff, they are fantastic at not only building positive relationships, but maintaining positive relationships. And yes, in this new era of recruiting, NIL is an aspect in everything, but relationships are still king. Do not let that be forgotten. Relationships are still king in college football, and when you have a staff, much like Oklahoma has, that not only is really positive in fostering relationships, but also maintaining them, it stands to reason that they are going to get big-time recruiting wins, as Brent Venables continues to prove he's going to do. So what do these 2 additions mean for the Oklahoma Sooners recruiting class? Well, if we look at the 24/7 Sports Composite, they remain at number 6 with 13 commits. And I don't think that they're going to be in any danger of falling out the top 10. Listen, one thing we need to understand, since Brent Venables has got there, he has maintained top 10 recruiting classes. And it's always something that I found to be a little bit ironic. Not to take shots at the former coach, but the former coach left Oklahoma and had something to say, such as he needs to go somewhere where he can recruit talent to win national championships. In steps Brent Venables, and he hasn't skipped a beat on the recruiting trail. He has continually brought in top talent and had top 10 recruiting classes. And so I've always found that to be a bit funny, a bit ironic, but it also goes to prove what I'm saying. This staff is different at building, maintaining, and cultivating positive relationships, and it manifests itself in terms of recruiting wins. Now, the big question I have for all of you, yes, we know Oklahoma is going to continue recruiting very well on the trail. What will they do in this spring portal window? As many of you know, the portal opens up next week, and I, for one, am going to be watching closely, not only at what Oklahoma does, but what happens around college football. Because what we have been told thus far is that it is going to be earth-shattering, the momentum we see, the players entering, and it could change college football. Or at least that's what Josh Pate says. And listen, I'm here for it, because that means as a content creator, I have got a lot to talk about, so I'm certainly not going to complain. But we talk all the time about how Brent Venables has brought in really positive recruiting classes, so too has he brought in really positive transfer portal classes. And I have no reason to believe that this year will be any different. So we're going to keep a close eye on Norman, Oklahoma, seeing what moves they make and what additions they're able to grab out the transfer portal. But I can't wait to hear from all of you. Let me know what you think about these 2 wins on the recruiting trail, but also let me know your thoughts on the transfer portal and if we are going to see as much craziness as some of the experts believe. Can't wait to hear from you. That's it. See ya.